Shalom, little one, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let's continue with our story in Shemot Exodus. The great land of Mitzrayim was no longer the same. The devour had turned to blood, the frogs had filled every house, the lice had swarmed over man and beast, and the flies had blackened the air. The people were weary, they had seen the power of Elohim, and yet Pharaoh's heart remained hard. The sun rose over the palace, casting long shadows on the golden walls. In the distance, the cries of the people could still be heard, and Moshe stood at the entrance once more. His staff was steady in his hand. His brother, Aharon, stood beside him. They had come again, for the command of Elohim had not changed. Moshe stepped forward and spoke. This is what Elohim, the Elohim of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you continue to refuse, behold, the hand of Elohim will be upon your livestock in the field, upon the horses, the donkeys, the camels, the herds, and the flocks. There will be a severe plague. But in the land of Goshen, where my people dwell, not a single animal shall be harmed, that you may know that I am Elohim. Pharaoh's face remained unreadable. The magicians at his side shifted uncomfortably, but none dared to speak. He had heard these warnings before, and he had not listened. The fifth plague, pestilence, strikes the livestock. The next morning, as the people of Mitzrayim went to tend their herds, a strange stillness lay upon the land. A shepherd walked into the field and called to his oxen, but they did not move. Another man approached his stables, reaching for his horse's reins. The horse collapsed beneath him. Everywhere across Mitzrayim, the livestock fell. The mighty camels, the strong oxen, the sheep and the goats, all struck by the plague. The people wailed in sorrow, their hands gripping the lifeless bodies of their beasts. But in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel lived, their flocks stood strong. Their herds were untouched. Not a single sheep had perished. The message was clear. This was no accident. This was the hand of Elohim. Messengers ran to the palace, their feet pounding against the stone. They fell before Pharaoh, breathless, their voices urgent. The livestock of Mitzrayim has been struck down, but in Goshen, none have died. Pharaoh's jaw tightened. He said nothing. He did not command his people to mourn the loss. He did not tell his soldiers to seek relief. Instead, he hardened his heart, and he would not let the people go. The sixth plague, boils upon the skin. The next morning, as the sun climbed higher, Moshe and Aharon stood before Pharaoh again. No warning was given this time. Elohim spoke to Moshe. Take handfuls of ashes from the furnace, and let Moshe scatter them toward the sky in the sight of Pharaoh. Moshe bent down. He reached into a furnace, his fingers brushing against the fine, black ashes. He stood tall, lifting his hands, the ashes clinging to his palms, and then he scattered them into the sky. The wind caught them, carrying them over the land, and wherever the ashes fell, boils broke out upon the skin, painful, burning. The people cried out as the sores covered their bodies, their flesh inflamed, their skin raw. The magicians, those who had once mocked Moshe, those who had turned staffs into serpents and water into blood, now cowered in agony. Their own skin was covered in sores. They could not even stand before Moshe, for the power of Elohim was too great. Pharaoh saw it all. He watched as his own people suffered, as his own magicians fell, as his own skin burned with the plague. Yet still he did not listen. His heart was like stone, and he would not let the people go. The seventh plague, hail and fire from the heavens. Once more Moshe returned. He raised his voice before Pharaoh. "This is what Elohim says. Let my people go that they may serve me. For this time I will send all my plagues upon your heart, upon your servants, and upon your people, that you may know there is none like me in all the earth. By now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with a plague that would have wiped you from the earth. But I have allowed you to stand, so that my name may be declared in all the earth. If you still exalt yourself and refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I will send a hailstorm unlike any that has ever been seen in Mitzrayim, from the day it was founded until now. Now, send word to your people. Bring your servants, your livestock, and all that you have into shelter, for whatever is left in the field shall die when the hail falls upon it." The servants listened. Some of them, fearing the word of Elohim, ran to gather their animals and bring them to safety. But others laughed, mocked, ignored the warning. The next morning Moshe lifted his staff to the sky. The heavens darkened, the clouds swirled, and then the hail came down. It pounded the fields, striking the earth with fury. It crushed the grain, shattered the trees, smashed the stone streets, and with the hail came fire. Blazing flames rained down with the ice, tearing through the land. There was no storm like it in the history of Mitzrayim. But in Goshen, where the children of Israel lived, not a single stone of hail fell. Pharaoh staggered. The sound of the storm roared in his ears, the flames reflecting in his eyes. And at last he cried out, "I have sinned this time." Pharaoh called, "Elohim is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Pray to your Elohim. Let there be no more thunder and hail. I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer." Moshe looked upon him. He had seen Pharaoh's heart waver before. He had heard his promises, only to see them broken. But he answered, "As soon as I leave the city, I will spread out my hands to Elohim, and the thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth belongs to him. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear Elohim." And so Moshe stepped out into the storm. He spread his hands to the sky. The thunder ceased. The hail stopped. The fire was gone. And Pharaoh hardened his heart once more. He did not let the people go. Until next time, Laila Tov, little one. Shalom.